that happened 32 years ago. 32 years ago, and I'm talking about the Kashmir genocide now. 32 years, no justice. And viewers, let me tell you, Times Now has single-handedly exposed the massive and deep-rooted conspiracy that was the Kashmiri Hindu genocide. I have come before you each night with document after document to establish the crimes of omission that led to the single greatest incident of ethnic cleansing in the country in recent history. Our investigations have upset the high and mighty. Farooq Abdullah, who stands unmasked, wagged a finger at reporters. He tried to bully them on camera, and you can see those pictures. Then, viewers, his son, Omar, tried to deflect the onus of the genocide. Omar Abdullah laid the blame squarely at the door of the VP Singh government and the BJP that was supporting it in 1989 and 1990. And also, for good measure, he said, you ask the governor, Jagmohan. Of course, viewers, we proved that under the Abdullahs, the killings had begun, and they were remiss. When we questioned the Gandhi Parivar-led Congress party, the party spokespersons and senior leaders came out shocking us by suggesting that genocide never happened. It's a figment of everyone's imagination. We brought out documents, viewers, to show that the genocide happened. Of course, the Gandhi-led Congress and the Abdullahs' deflections have returned to haunt them. Today, viewers, we are going to be speaking to a senior member of the Congress party till just yesterday. He's a Kashmiri Hindu. He's a legatee of the Maharaja of Kashmir. He's his grandson. Viewers, Maharaja Hari Singh, who signed the instrument of accession so that Kashmir could legitimately, as it ought to have been, be a part of the Indian Union. He today is coming out and expressing his disappointment, his anger at what he terms are lies being spoken by the Congress party. I spoke just a short while back to him. Here he is, Vikramaditya Singh. Viewers, we are joined by Mr. Vikramaditya Singh, scion of the Jammu and Kashmir royal family. His father, long-standing member of the Congress party and intellectual. His grandfather, Hari Singh, Maharaja Hari Singh, signed the instrument of accession, which was, of course, a historic turn in itself. Thank you for speaking to us, Mr. Vikramaditya Singh. You've just quit from the Congress party, and we're, of course, speaking in the backdrop of a fresh controversy, if you like, visiting the state of Jammu and Kashmir, or let's put it slightly differently, in the backdrop of the reopening of fresh wounds. And I'm talking about Kashmiri Hindu wounds via the medium of a movie that has been made on their plight. Now, before I come to some of the reasons for why you've taken this step of quitting the Congress party, Mr. Vikramaditya Singh, let me just ask you, the movie, I don't know if you watched it or not, presumably not, but the tragedy is that the Kashmiri Hindu community, its voice, its cries for justice have been unheard. First of all, why do you think they were not really amplified on the national stage?
Namaskar, Rahul. Thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you.
Yes, I tendered my resignation from the primary membership of the Congress party yesterday. The reasons for that we will, I'm sure, discuss shortly. But to answer your question, the couple of things that I want to make very clear. What happened in Jammu and Kashmir in the 1990s was absolutely tragic. I was there. I had just been recently married. I moved with my wife to Srinagar in 1988, 89. I was very much there, and then subsequently left because the situation was just not conducive for anybody to be around. It's absolutely tragic. I mean, it was nothing short of a genocide. The way the Kashmiri Pandit families were forced to leave, pressured to leave, pressured to sell their homes, leave their belongings behind, and to the Kashmiri Pandit families that even worse things happened It's very, very tragic. And I'd like to just mention one thing here, that it was not just limited to the Kashmir Valley. The spillover of this went into Doda, Bhadarwah, Kishtwar, where Hindus in this region also suffered huge losses, also had to leave their homes and move out of their mountain villages. So it's an absolute tragedy. And I am so glad that through this medium of this film, which I have not seen, so I am not going to comment on the film per se, but at least an attempt has been made to put forward the facts and educate everybody else in the rest of this country and the world as to the scale of the tragedy that happened.
Why do you think they've been deprived of justice for 32 years?
That's a good question, Rahul. And obviously, there are influencers, there are people behind the scenes whom it was convenient for. It suited to have Kashmir in turmoil. It suited to have the umbrella and protection of the so-called special status, Article 370-35A, so that within that perimeter and in a disturbed area, a lot of other things that they needed to do could happen. That's probably the plausible explanation. But that has all now changed since 2019, hopefully, and we are looking at a fresh beginning. But we can never forget the heavy price that the Kashmiri Hindu brothers had to pay, including my family. I mean, we ended up selling our family home. This is the first time I'm saying this to anybody. But we ended up selling the Palace Hotel in Kashmir because we were in heavy debt. It was Maharaja Hari Singh's home. His palace was sold as a result of this turmoil. I mean, can you even begin to imagine how a common person in Kashmir, the scale of what he would have lost? This is the first time I'm saying this on national television because it's very sentimental, and it was very, very traumatic for us to take that decision. But we were there and we saw all this happening and we lost it.
You mentioned certain people whose interest would have been served by continuing with the status quo. Who are you referring to?
I am not wanting to get into any sort of direct blame game here, Rahul. What I will say for sure is that a lot of facts are known, are in public domain. If the government finds it suitable, there should be a proper commission of inquiry set up and let the findings of the commission disclose and blame those responsible and bring them to justice. But I think it is long overdue, and the sooner we do it, the faster we will have some sort of closure.
Mr. Abdullah says, I was not even there. Don't ask me questions. I wasn't there. Yes, I was chief minister, but when the violence began, I had submitted my resignation, asked Jagmohan, asked VP Singh, asked the government that supported VP Singh or the party that supported VP Singh, which is BJP. Do you think this is a fit defense?
I would once again state that let there be a commission of inquiry and let them decide who was responsible and what transpired between the state government, the central government, Jagmohan, because I refuse to believe that both the state government and the central government were not aware at the time as to what was going on. I'm sure the intelligence agencies had briefed both the governments, and this was a process. This didn't happen overnight. The build-up of this started happening in 86, 87, 88 and went on till 89 and then finally blew up in 1990. So it is not something that was we were taken by surprise or we were not aware of. And certainly I do not believe that the state government would be unaware or the central government would be unaware at that time. Why they did not take the necessary steps that they should have taken or could have taken at that point in time, only they are in a position to answer.
Well, that's a very objective response, and I think a lot of people will appreciate your candor there. Yes, the state government can't just wash its hands off. It didn't happen overnight. Let me ask you, you have been a bit disappointed, and you gave us an interview yesterday. You're talking to our correspondent saying that one of the tipping points was the reaction of the Congress party less than supportive of the movie, etc. Why do you feel this way?
Rahul, I'll just go back a little and give you a little bit more about where my discord with the party line started. Whether we looked at the Balakot strike post the Pulwama blasts, and I openly supported that. And there were so many other incidents after that, whether it is the resetting up of the village defense committees, whether it was the removal of Article 370-35A, which I openly supported being in the Congress party. And even after that, the delimitation process that has been set up in the state to bring out a sense of regional balance between Jammu region and the Kashmir region are all steps that I have personally welcomed. Now, at every level, I found that the Congress line was different, and I had to sort of struggle with saying what I personally believe in. So I didn't think it was any longer viable for me to continue to remain in this party and say things that were not conducive to the party line. To answer your question, I was a little shocked when I heard about certain Congress leaders who very casually said that the Kashmiri Pandit community in Kashmir Valley left out of their own free will, that nobody forced them. I think this is a complete lie. It is being in complete denial. And that's where I said that the Congress party is not really connected to what is going on at the grassroots level and the sentiments of the people, both, I would say, in Jammu and Kashmir and at the national level.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vikramaditya Singh. I'm going to not let you go before answering one question. What next?
Rahul, I don't have any immediate plans. I'm just going to sit back. I'm going to continue to engage with the people of Jammu and Kashmir and continue to meet people in Delhi who are important to me, and take some time off, take advice from my family, and take a call as and when the timing is right.
Thank you very much for sparing the time and speaking candidly on a very, very sensitive issue. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.